Hello, welcome to Cafdil lessons.
Hello, my wonderful viewers. You are welcome to another edition of Cafdil Science Lessons. And from Cafdil Studios, this is your teacher, Ernest Atto Benter. Kids, today we are going to begin new lessons in Basic 4. We are going to begin new lessons in Basic 4. And be reminded that all these lessons are based on the new GES NACA curriculum released in 2019. So in this first lesson, according to the curriculum, we are going to start from strand 1, that is diversity of matter, sub-strand 1, living and non-living things. Then the content standard tells us that at the end of these lessons, you will understand the physical features and life processes of living things and use them to understand or classify them. You also look at the indicators and examples. So at the end of this series of lessons, you can classify animals into insects, birds, mammals, reptiles, and amphibians. But today, this lesson begins with insects. So our lesson for today is on insect, which is lesson 1. Now, at the end of the lesson, let's look at the performance indicators I want you to achieve at the end of the lesson. At the end of the lesson, you will be able to tell what insects are at the end of the lesson. 2. State 4 examples of insects. And then 3. State 4 features of insects. So if you all pay attention and you go through the lesson with me, at the end of the lesson, these are the performance indicators I want to see in you. Tell what insects are, state 4 examples of insects, and then 4 features of insects. Now let's begin the lesson. Kate, we are surrounded by many animals in our environment. If you look, let's look at this small image here as our environment. You can see a zebra here, you can see a bird here, you can see the monkey here, you can see a giraffe here. You can also see some bees here, I can see some beehive here, you can see a lion here, you can see the hippo in the water. We are surrounded by many animals in our environment. And today we are going to talk about a group of these animals known as insects. Some of these animals we see around, some of them are big. If you look at the hippo, if you look at the elephants here, they are big as compared to the monkey and then the bees you see here. Some too are tall, some too are short. So all the animals that we see in our environment, they are not the same. Some are big, some are small, some are tall, some are short. Good. Now, what are insects? What are insects? The lesson demands that at the end of this series of lessons, you'll be able to classify certain animals as insects. So what are insects? Before we go to what insects are, let's look at the images here. What is this boy doing? Spraying a mosquito here. I hope you have done that before. Mosquitoes worry us a lot during the night and we all do away with them. Let's look at the second image. We see these cockroaches here feasting on the bread. I hope you have seen this image before at home. If you look at this one too, the ant here is enjoying the bread as the rest are carrying the bread away. I know you have seen this too in your homes before. If you look at this too, you see these butterflies on a flower, and you have seen that before. If you look at this one too, this housefly is also enjoying itself with the food. If you look at this mosquito here, if you look at this cockroaches here, if you look at these ants here, these butterflies here, this housefly here, are they the same? If you look at their shape and their form, are they the same? No, they are not the same. But all these animals we see here, this housefly, uh, this mosquito, this housefly, these cockroaches, these butterflies, these ants, we classify all of them as insects. So if all these animals are not the same, but we classify them as insects, then what are insects? That's what we are going to look at. Insects are the smallest of all animals with 6 legs. Insects are the smallest of all animals with 6 legs. So in grouping animals, we group insects, number 1, by the number of legs they have. If you look at the dog you have at home, how many legs? 4. If you look at the cat, how many legs? 2. If you look at the bird you see, how many legs? 2. Cats have 4, dogs have 4, birds have 2. But when it comes to insects, they have how many legs? 6. So when we talk about insects, if you look at the images you see here, you see that they are different kinds of animals here. All these animals are different from each other. But because they have 6 legs, we classify them as what? Insects. So Kate, insects are the smallest of all animals with 6 legs. And in grouping all animals, as we saw at the beginning of the lesson, that after that you'll be able to classify animals as insects, as birds, as mammals, as amphibians and reptiles. If you look at all these group of animals, the largest of them is the insect. So insects are the largest group of animals. So all these animals you see here are insects. Why do we call them insects? Because one of the features they possess is that they have how many legs? 6 legs. So remember that insects are the smallest of all animals with 6 legs. Good. Now let's look at some examples of insects. Some examples of insects. So the first one we have here is butterfly. And I believe you have seen butterfly in your environment before. They come in different colors, very beautiful colors. Their wings are very beautiful. Their wings are very beautiful, and I know you have seen a lot of them. The second one is ants. Ants. They like sweet things. So if you leave your sugar or your bread or your pastries uncovered, you will see these ants around as you see them here. As you see them here. So ants is also an example of an insect. The next one is a bee. Bee. I hope you have seen a bee before. Even if you haven't seen one before, I know that you know some of the things bees do for us. They give us honey to eat. So the bee is also an example of an insect. The bee is also an example of an insect. The next one is beetle. 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 Have you seen one before? Yes. They also help clear our environment. They also help to keep the environment clean by feasting on feces. They break it down and then they bury them. So they also have a job to do, and the beetle is also an example of an insect. The beetle is also an example of an insect. The next one is the mosquito. We all don't like mosquitoes. During the night, they disturb us a lot, and they also give us a disease called malaria, so we don't like the mosquito. So the mosquito too is an example of an insect. The mosquito too is an example of an insect. Let's look at the next example. The next example is the ladybird. The ladybird. They have beautiful black spotted in red wings. They are very beautiful. I remember when we were young, we used to catch some and then keep them in bottles. They are very beautiful. So the ladybird is also an example of insect. The next one is fly, house flies. House fly, they also contaminate our food. They contaminate our food, and they are also classified as insects. Flies are classified as insects. The next one is bedbug. Bedbug. I know those who have encountered a bedbug before. It's not easy. They are very difficult to do away with, and we can find them in mattresses, pillows, and clothes. So bedbugs are also example of an insect. The next one is grasshopper. Grasshopper. We also have the dragonfly. The dragonfly. These are all examples of insects, and we call all these animals insects because they have 6 legs. So insects are the smallest of all animals with 6 legs. We also have the cockroach here. We also don't like cockroaches because they also contaminate our food. Cockroaches also contaminate our food. All these animals, we find them in our various homes, and all these are insects. They are very troublesome. Insects are very troublesome. When you are being worried by one of them, they are very difficult to do away with. We also have another example, termites. Termites, and termites are known for destroying wooden pillars. Termites are known for destroying wooden pillars. So termites is also an example of an insect. So okay, these are some examples of insects. So we looked at the housefly, the ants, the bee, the mosquito. We also looked at the cockroach, butterfly, praying mantis is also an insect, the grasshopper. We also have termites, ladybird, beetle, bedbug. These are all examples of insects. Now, let's look at some of the physical features of insects. When we say something is physical, it means you can see it. You can see it and even touch it. So, what are some of the physical features that when we see about an animal, we can confidently say that this is an insect? So we are going to look at some physical features of insects. When you take the human being, what are some of your physical features? You have 2 hands, you have 2 legs, you have head, you have pair of eyes, you have nose. These are all physical features anybody can see about a human being. So when we come to insects too, let's go through some of the features, the physical features that insects have. The first one is that insects are small. We said it in the definition that they are the smallest of all animals with 6 legs. Insects are small. Do you believe insects are small? Now let's compare the ants here as an example of an insect with some animals, whether they are truly small. Let's look at this mouse. Look at the size of the mouse here and then the size of the ants. Do you believe that the ant here is smaller than the mouse? Yes, the mouse here is bigger as compared to the mouse here. So insects are small. Let's look at the cat too. Let's look at the size of the cat and the size of the ant. You see that the size of the cat is bigger than that of the ant. So that tells us that insects are small. Let's look at this dog too. You see that the dog is bigger than the ant here. Let's look at this cock too. Look at the size and then the size of the ant. So still this ant is small. Let's look at this lizard and then the ant here. You see that still the lizard is bigger than the ant. So insects are small. So when we talk about insects, they are small. That is the first feature. The number 2 feature is that insects have 6 legs. And we said it in the definition that they are animals with 6 legs. They are the smallest of all animals with 6 legs. So you have 2 legs, but they have 6 legs. So if you look at this bee here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this bee here has 6 legs. Let's look at the mosquito here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The mosquito also has 6 legs. Let's take the cockroach too. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. So the cockroach too has 6 legs. So insects have 6 legs. That is another physical feature of insects. Insects have 3 main body parts. That is the third physical feature. They have 3 main body parts. So these are the 3 main body parts of insects. 1, 2, 3. These are the 3 main body parts. So let's look at their names. The first one is the head. The first one is the head. And the head contains the antenna, the eyes, the mouth, and then the pincers. This is what you call the pincers, what they use to bite. This, you see, that's what you call the pincers. Crabs also have pincers. That is what they use to bite. So the head, that is the first part. It contains the antennae, the eyes, the mouth, and then the pincers. The second part that you see here with the wings is called the thorax. The thorax. So the thorax contains the 6 legs and the wings. The thorax contains the 6 legs and the wings. Then the last part is the abdomen. Abdomen. So insects have 3 main body parts: the head, the thorax, and then the abdomen. The head contains the antenna. This is what you call the antenna, what you see here. And then the eyes, the mouth, the pincers. And then the thorax also contains the 6 legs and then the wings. Then the last one is the abdomen. So insects have 3 main body parts. So the first one is that they are small. The second part that we talked about is that they have 6 legs. And the third one is that they have 3 main body parts. The next one is that insects have a pair of antennae. The antennae serves as a sense organ. Children, how many sense organs do you have? Good. We have 5 sense organs. These sense organs help us to pick information from the environment into our brain. So we have the eye as a sense organ of the human. You have the nose, you have the tongue, you have the skin, you have the ear as sense organs. 5. The insects also have sense organ, and the sense organ is the antenna, and this is what you call the antenna. This pair of antenna, 1, 2. When we say pair, it means they use it together. Pair means that they use it together. So this is the antenna of the insect. If you look at the ant here too, this is the antenna of the ant, and they use it as a sense organ. So let's look at, as a sense organ, what they use it for. 1, they use it to smell and taste. So as you use your nose to smell and tongue to taste, they use their antennae to smell and taste. They also use the antennae to sense hot and cold objects. So if they are walking around, they use their antennae on surfaces to check whether the surface is hot or cold. They also use the antennae to listen to sounds. You use your ear to listen to sounds. They use their antennae to listen to sounds. They also use the antennae to feel the surface of an object, whether it is smooth or rough. So insects use their antennae for the following. And the last is that they use it to detect the movement of air or wind. They use it to detect the movement of air or wind. So these are the uses of the antennae, which serves as a sense organ to the insects. Good. The next one is that some insects have 2 wings that help them to fly. Some insects have 2 wings that help them to fly. So if you look at the bee is an example of an insect with wings, and they use it to fly. The housefly, they have 2 wings that they use to fly. You have the butterfly, they also have 2 wings that they use to fly. So some insects have 2 wings that help them to fly. Okay, it's not all of them have wings. Some insects have no wings. They move by crawling. So if you look at the ant has no wings. They crawl. If you look at some termites too have no wings. They crawl. And if you look at the louse, we normally see them in our hair, in the scalp of our hair. So these examples of insects do not have wings. They move by crawling. So not all insects have wings. Some have wings that they use to fly. Some too do not have wings. They move by crawling. Now the next one is that most insects have compound eyes. Compound eyes. So this is an example of an insect, that is a fly. And the eye you see here is what we call the compound eye. We have pair of eyes, but we don't call it compound eye. So what is a compound eye? This is what we call a compound eye. This is what we call compound. Look at the eye of the insect. Most insects have this type of eye. Look at how it is. That's what we call compound eye. Now let's look at what compound eye is. There are some houses that people live in that we call them compound houses. So when we say compound houses, what comes to your mind? It means it's a very big building with lot of rooms occupied by different people. So when we say compound, it's lot of rooms in one environment or in one building. That is what we call compound house. So there are some rented houses that we call compound houses. So when we bring that meaning to the eye, when we talk about compound eyes, we mean that they have lot of individual eyes grouped as one, just as compound have a lot of rooms grouped in one house. So compound eyes means they have lot of eyes grouped as one. We have pair of eyes, 1, 2, but they have lots of these eyes grouped as one, as you see here. So lot of eyes grouped as one is what we call compound eyes, and that is what the insects have. So insects have compound eyes. So if you look at this, we have lot of them here. 1, 2, I can't even count them. So if you look at the rear eye of the insect, you see it's 1, 1 here. You see the eye 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 here, and that is what we call compound eye. So this is the type of eye possessed by most insects, and we call this type of eye compound eyes, meaning they have lots of individual eyes grouped as one. So this is the kind of eye possessed by a housefly. Now this compound eye helps them to look at different directions at the same time. So they can look left, right, up, down at the same time. So sometimes you see a mosquito. By the time your hand reaches the mosquito, it's already gone, because they can see different directions at the same time. So the insects possess what you call compound eyes. Now these compound eyes also help them to have a larger view of objects. So what you see as small, insects will see it as big. They also see objects that are far. The compound eyes help them to see objects that are far. So by the time you raise your hand to kill a mosquito, they see your hand far away before it reaches them. And they also use it to detect moving objects. And if you look at the first one, we said that it helps them to have a larger view of objects, meaning that the larger view, this is the vision of the insect. This is how the eye of insects see things. It's the same car. Look at how our normal eye see the car, very clear and sharp. And look at how insects also see with that compound eye. So even though they have lots of individual eyes grouped as one, they cannot see as clear as our eyes see. So if you look at these two images, you see that we see clearer than insects. So insects have compound eyes. Now, we have gone through some features of insects. Sometimes if I go somewhere, people ask me, Uncle Ernest, is the spider too an insect? The spider is not an insect. We have group of animals, and we group these animals based on the number of legs they have. We said that insects have 6 legs. But when we talk about arachnids, they have 8 legs. So arachnids are animals with 8 legs. So if you look at the spider, if you look at the scorpion, if you look at the tick, if you look at the mites, they all have 8 legs. And because of their 8 legs, they are not considered as insects, but rather they are considered as arachnids. So if you look at the spider here, see that the legs are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the 2 you see here are the antennae. That's the 2. If you look at the tick here too, you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So arachnids have 8 legs, whilst insects have 6 legs. So note the difference. A spider is not an insect, but rather arachnid because of the 8 legs spiders possess. Good. Now we have come to the end of lesson 1 on insects. So let's do a recap of what we learned today. We looked at insects as the smallest of all animals with 6 legs. So we looked at the housefly, the ant, the bee, the mosquito, the cockroach, butterfly, praying mantis, grasshopper, termite, ladybird, beetle, and bedbug as examples of insects. We also looked at some features of insects, that insects have 3 main body parts: the head, the thorax, and the abdomen. The head, the thorax, and the abdomen. The head contains the eyes, the antennae, and then the pincers. The thorax also contains the wings and then the legs. So, and they also have 6 legs as a feature, and then they also have 2 antennae that they use as sense organs. 2 antennae that they use as sense organs. So these are some of the physical features too of insects. These are some of the physical features too of insects. Another feature too we looked at is that some insects have wings, and they use their wings to fly. Example is the housefly, the butterfly, the bee. Some insects too do not have legs. They move by crawling. Example is the ants, example is the louse, and another example we looked at is some termites. Good. Now, before we end the lesson, let's test ourselves on the lesson, insects. 1. Which of the following is not an insect? Which of the following is not an insect? You have the bee, ant, and then spider. Which of the following is not an insect? Good, spider. Why? Because spider is an arachnid with 8 legs. But if you look at the bee and the ants, they have 6 legs, so they are insects. But the spider is not because of the 8 legs. 2. How many legs do insects have? We have 6, 8, and 10. Great. The answer is 6. Insects have 6 legs. 3. Insects have how many body parts? Insects have how many body parts? They have 2, 3, and then 4. 3. Very good. 3. You have the head, the thorax, and then the abdomen. Next, insects use their dash as a sense organ. Insects use their dash as a sense organ. You have the head, you have the antenna, and then you have the wings. Good. Antenna. Insects use their antenna as a sense organ. And then 5. Some insects have dash eyes that help them to see things from far. Some insects have dash eyes that help them to see things from far. You have sharp We have compound, we have big. Good. The answer is compound. The answer is compound. And when we say compound, it's a lot of individual eyes grouped as one. Great. Now we have come to the end. And before we go, I will leave you with this homework. 1. What is an insect? 2. State any 6 examples of insects. And then 3. Write down any 3 physical features of insects. Now, this time we have added a QR code. So if you take your phone and then you scan this QR code on your screen, it will lead you to a test page where you answer questions on this lesson. And immediately you finish, you just click on submit and your test will be marked. You see your results and I'll also see it as well. If you don't have the QR code scanner, you can go to your Play Store or the App Store to download the QR code scanner so that you can do this assignment. So I'll give you some few minutes to do the assignment or write this assignment. As I said, you can scan the QR code on your screen to begin your assignment. When you begin, you type your name, your school, and then your location before you start the test. You type your name, your school, and then your location. When you finish, you go to submit test. You see your results, and I'll also see it as well. So let's all begin the assignment if you are with a phone or a tablet or a phablet. If you don't have that, to try and then write this assignment down and do it in your exercise book. When you scan the QR code, it will bring a link. You tap on the link and it will lead you to the exercise. It will lead you to the exercise on this lesson. So if you scan the QR code, if it scans correctly, you will see a link below the code. You tap on the link and then you begin your exercise. As I said, you type your name, your school, and then your location before you begin the exercise. Great. I believe you were all able to put down the assignment or scan the QR code to begin your exercise. In this lesson today, we looked at insects as our first lesson in Basic 4. I believe you have learned a lot about insects today and you enjoyed the lesson as well. I will come your way again with another lesson on insects. And until that time, this is your teacher, Ernest Atto Bente. Bye-bye.